Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Middle of a session here, but I wanted to separate this one out. This is my Encyclia Cordillera, Siang Yu, and these are the consequences, or this is the consequences, of leaving a Cattleya type in the pot too long. So I thought I just saw a spike then, it's an old one. This is what you get, yeah? Now, this was all my fault. I'm not having a go at anybody else. It's, I'm the grower, you know. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. But there is nothing left under the centre of this plant, nothing at all. So I'm going to try and cut it as tight to the base as possible. There's nothing here worth keeping, absolutely nothing. It's just gone. Until you get near the edge, when you have to start going a little bit more careful and being a bit more picky, like that. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the end and following it back, but I'm getting to the point now where there are going to be some good roots soon. So that's when you start going careful, and that's where the precision of these scissors comes into its own. I can pick one single root in the middle of a load of others and just take it out. So I'm glad I got the new pair before I got to this stage. But you can see there is not going to be a lot left. I'm coming at it from this side at the moment. Now over here I need to be a little bit careful as well, because just on the edge here are a couple of reasonable roots. But not many. Where are you coming from? You're coming from in there. See, none of these are any good, but by opening up the base, sometimes a Cattleya will actually push out some roots from the centre of the plant. And you get some air around there. Oh, it's still firm. Right, turn the plant slightly and get to another bit. Now again, straight into this old part and just take the lot straight off. I'm going to end up with a stump effectively, but there's no point in leaving this, it's gone. It's just going to be a few around the outside. Ruthless, I hear you say. It's got to be done. You can't get any air around the base of this plant, it's just going to go down even further. It needs air around these pseudobulbs. I'm really going in tight to the base. And then that's going to be sorted with an appropriate pot and media, which I'll come back to. This is the bit now I've got to start being a bit more careful now here, because we do have some roots that aren't too bad. Not many. Not many at all, but it's got to be done. No point in leaving dead roots on. No point at all. Let's see, now that one has got a dead end, but it's firm back here, so just take it back to where it's firm, and hopefully it'll branch. So don't go hacking away looking at the colour. Sometimes you have to stop and do the feely touchy thing. And any root that's got a firm base to it, take the end off by all means, but don't take the whole thing off unless you're sure. So that one looks awful at the beginning, but it's not too bad down here, and everything I can keep is sort of precious really when I'm going down to this level. Manky whole section there, they'll all have to come off. Right, I think we're nearly there now. Missed one. Get out. See, now I have got roots up in the plant, yeah, growing in amongst the pseudobulbs. Well, if they can branch or get a growing root tip, they will find their way down. There's a little cluster of manky ones there. Get into there, and that's about it. That's about it. And now I shall clip myself around the ear and say, don't do it again. say I potted this one on. So I put bad media, or media going down, inside good media. Well, that doesn't help the media that's breaking down, does it? Okay, a few roots got down the outside of the pot where the newer media was, but this lot were doomed. Absolutely doomed. So there we go. That's what I'm left with. Not a lot, I hear you say. Not a lot at all. But it's a Cattleya type. It will, I mean, I can see signs of new roots in places. And some of the places where I know there will be new roots I can't get at because the pseudobulbs came up in the middle of the plant. Like this one here is a new growth. See, the roots are making their way down slowly but surely. So you will get some new roots. I don't know how long it's going to be. I left a piece of bark there because it's attached to good roots. Now they may grow on. But that's it. The whole of the base of the plant just trimmed off basically, and if some roots can get down there now, they've got air to get into instead of horrible soggy stale media, so that might help them. So I've just seen another cluster I need to get at, just there. There we go, and there too, that can be trimmed back a bit. Every bit of space I give this at the base of the plant is somewhere where a root might grow or can get into. Right, so that's it. And when we have a Cattleya type with a not very good root system that obviously needs an awful lot more air around the base than it's ever had since I got it, and there are signs of some new roots growing, what do you think we need to do with that then? I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So question again then. When we have a Cattleya type that needs lots of air around its base, what do we put it in? I could hear you all screaming at the screen, holy clay pot! I haven't done one of these for ages. And in fact, this is my last large holy clay pot. So any of you people that have got a load lying around that you don't want, I'll give you the address. But yeah, I mean, my original holy clay pots came from Ireland and are not repeated. They haven't come up again. The place who sold them hasn't restocked. And it did take a lot of effort on Rachel's part. I mean, she had to buy them for me and then bring them home and wrap them all up and arrange a courier. It was quite a big deal, quite honestly. I was over the moon that somebody could be bothered to do that sort of thing for me. But and then I did get a gift. Somebody actually said, I've got a load of clay pots with holes in lying around in the garden that I don't use, could you use them? Oh, could I? And this is actually one of those. So slightly deeper than my holy clay pots and slightly larger, which is quite a good job because this is quite a large plant. Now I come to look for a pot, actually quite a big one. And again, I don't want any media anywhere but around the roots. I want this plant sitting on the top of the media. That's all I want. It's just going to sit there. But I do want to try and make sure that I haven't got loads of air pockets down the sides here. That's the only place I have got some roots. And that will help them hydrate. Because obviously this bark dries in an instant, especially when it's new. The large Orchiata bark, you're lucky to get a day. You can soak this, actually dunk it and soak it for half an hour, and the next day it will be dry, especially in a clay pot. So you have to work a bit with this stuff when it's new. You really do. You have to work at it and keep at it. And then it usually takes a month or two, and then it settles down and starts holding a bit of water. And then the older it gets, the longer it holds the water for. But certainly initially you have to work hard. Right, I've just got a little bit down there where there are signs of possible root growth. So there we are. That's it. And now, to make sure it flipping well stays there, we put a wire across the top. And of course at this point we remember that we needed to get the wire through that hole that we've just covered up with all the bark. But luckily I can just about see it, I think. Yeah, I put my finger on it. Now I've got to find a path across the top of that rhizome that doesn't cut leaves off or divide the plant in two. And that looks like a nice sturdy place. That's wiggled in between a couple of pseudo bulbs and over the top of one, but it's an old bulb with no leaves, so that doesn't actually matter. Now all I've got to do is try and get the end to thread through that hole without being able to see it. Gotcha. Okay. And then the one tool that I need right this minute that I didn't think to bring out, or two tools in fact, I'll be back in a second. Yes, holy clay pot with wire equals pliers and wire cutters. And what I've got to do with the pliers, because there's kinks in this wire and the hole's quite small, it's just a matter of grabbing it and pulling, and it will pull it through. Don't go mad or you crack your pot. But just watch where you're pulling, and as it starts to bite into the rhizome, decide when you've got it tight enough by by the fact that you can't move that plant even a quarter of an inch. It's absolutely rigid. So that's where it needs to stay. Put a kink in it so that it can't go back inside the hole. It's thick wire, this stuff, it doesn't move. And then just trim the end off with enough to be able to tuck in there out of sight, because sharp ends on wire, you will catch your fingers on there eventually. Now we have a nice rigid plant. That bulb's a bit loose, that's right on the edge of the plant, but that's the one that's got some roots coming out of it. So we have a nice rigid plant with the base allowing some air around it, and obviously any roots that went down in that pot, look, that's pure luck, not judgment. I can watch that root now. There's a growing tip right next to that hole, so I can keep my eye on that and see if the plant starts to move. We see signs of other roots, but hopefully now that is growing in a more suitable environment for that plant. And now I'm going to admit something absolutely ridiculous, but it does go back a bit. When I got this plant, which I said I got at, must have been at the Norwich BOC show, because that's where I last saw Chantel. I bought a nice Cattleya from her, that was the Young Min Orange, and I bought this. And when I got it home, I thought that was in the Oncidium Alliance. So I've been thinking of it ever since, quite innocently, well, not really thinking about it, just carrying on with that thought. So I've always had it in my mind that this is a type of Oncidium. It's not, it's in the Cattleya Alliance. And quite honestly, that makes the world of difference how it needs to be potted and looked after. A world of difference. Yeah? Fast, wet, dry cycle. No reason to keep it moist whatsoever. No reason at all. Fast, wet, dry cycle. And when it's actively growing, plenty of water, but it should still dry off in between. Whereas an Oncidium type, when it's actively growing, it's probably better not to let it dry off at all, because they drink. So perhaps now it will actually grow into a nicer plant. And even if those latest new growths don't bloom, they're a good basis for the next set of new growths that should. Okay. Right, the only thing I will say, although it's in the Cattleya Alliance, this is not an extremely high light type plant. Yeah? Although these are slightly fleshy leaves, they're not Cattleya leaves. They're not that thick. So I wouldn't put that in extremely high light. It still needs good light though. So that can have a good watering now, on the grounds that the pot will soak a lot of that water up and the bark will be dry by tomorrow morning. So there we go. Encyclia cordigera Cyangu, allegedly. No, that is what it's called. See you next time.